button and see when when his microphone goes off, his or her microphone, and just take over.
Brilliant.
And also to make sure that our microphones are working and you can hear us interpreting, right, or talking.
Correct. We'll be doing a test on our side, so no one needs to worry about that barring us.
Okay.
So Tom, are we supposed to go to a session 120 right now, or wait?
Not 120. If you reload the page, you should have one that says Climate Red closing test at the top now.
Yep, I got it. So then go to the appropriate booth, right?
And then go to your inputs correct on there.
Closing test. Okay.
All right. I'm in the Arabic booth. Okay. See Amna. Also, hi Amna.
Hi. I'm sorry, but I have opening test in mind, but I don't have a closing test.
And
you have to refresh. Yeah.
I have to refresh. Oh, okay.
I've just quickly made that page or instance for
okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
I'm the only one in the Spanish booth, so I don't know if Diana's going to go in.
Yeah, I did not see the closing test. I saw the opening.
I have it. Yep.
Yeah,
thank you.
Refresh. Yeah, Diana, we need to refresh the page.
I did.
Show. Okay.
I have 2 opening tests.
Okay.
Yeah, same for me.
I have 2 opening. I don't have any closing.
You don't have any closing.
I have 1 closing, but it's the closing panel. It's not the test.
Let me. It should be at the very top of that page.
It says I have 2. Oh, now I have it. Okay, got it.
That makes sense. Has everyone found it? Just to clarify.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yep, I found it.
Brilliant.
Just to make sure, if you're already in the interpreting page where it says pick a device, make sure that your microphone is there.
Yeah, so I just wanted to onboard and make sure that Radina has received an email link.
Yes, I received the email link and I'm on the page that has all the events, the time, the date.
Brilliant.
The interpret booth, like that is the booth, right?
Brilliant. So that's the list of all the interpretation events, and then you need to look for the closing session. It should be Climate Red closing -test.
Yes.
And then once you go into that, you need to go into the booth of your particular language that you'll be interpreting for.
Okay.
I do already now.
All right. So Karina, I know you only have 10 minutes, and are people in booths now? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
We are. Let me just say one quick thing, and this may be confusing. I followed that link, but I think the title hasn't been changed yet. It says Climate Red opening test. Is that correct, Tom?
Yeah. It should have changed. Well, it should have changed a few minutes ago. So if you just refresh, if it hasn't changed, it should have changed.
Okay. Okay. So Karina, do you have the production schedule open? The live production, your closing session?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. So what I would like to do is with the closing session, I'd like you to just walk through step by step. And again, not a lot of detail, but just step by step, and let them practice with your work. Okay. So at 1600, the room opens. All these people are in the room and we're just waiting for it to start. 1730, over to Karina. Good morning and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Just turned 12:20 here. Thank you everybody for being here.
Afternoon.
I will say, we start, the moderator says, hello and welcome. She will also be putting up, let me see. She says hello and welcome, and she'll have 2. Sorry, this is one thing we need to go over in our review, Heather.
Tomorrow.
Yep. Okay, so she says hello and welcome. She introduces herself. She introduces the panel. One of the panelists is not going to be there, so we will put up a slide that will be in English, and the interpreters will need to, she will read it, and the interpreters will need to interpret what she's reading on the slide. Then we move into the polls, the first poll question, and then there's a second poll question, and then the moderator goes and directly asks a question to the minister. I will keep speaking. If anybody has a question, please speak out because I'm just looking at the production schedule. The moderator asks a question to the minister and the minister responds. I don't believe there will be a follow-up question, but there's a possibility of a follow-up question. Then the moderator will introduce Her Royal Highness Princess Marguerite. She will deliver a statement for about 8 to 10 minutes. After that statement, the moderator asks the princess a brief follow-up question, which the princess will respond to in about 1 minute, 2 minutes. Then we have another Slido poll that we will ask to the audience. And then the moderator will ask a question to Sofia Hernandez. Sophia will respond. There is the possibility that there will be a follow-up question or two so that we use up the 10 minutes that we have for Sophia. The next thing that happens, the moderator asks a question to Kelvin from Kenya Red Cross Society. Kelvin will respond. There is the option of a follow-up question. All of this depends on how long their responses are. They may take up all their time with one response. Then the moderator will ask a question to the chairman of Pakistani Red Crescent. The chairman will respond. Then the moderator will open up for a live Q&A, and we'll be feeding her questions. She'll be announcing these questions, and then the panelists will, of course, take turns answering questions. I think that's pretty standard. The moderator will then close the panel and pass on to Jagan, the Secretary General, and the session will be over. Is that useful?
And then there's music.
Yes, and that's separate to what I'm doing. So I'm
That's
just
correct.
the closing session, and the performance is under Sean's guidance or leadership.
Thank you. So I did stop the video, and Hamad, I see your hand up, but I really want to focus on Karina and the interpreters right now. How did that go for everybody? And Laurent, back to Laurent and Tom. And Karina, thank you for that high speed thing, but it's always good to hear what's happening in the closing session. And so we can always do it again, but just for the interpreters, does that help to understand there's a bunch of people changing and that you guys got to practice in the staging platform? Thanks to everybody. Back to Tom and to Laurent and Karina. Thank you for that quick run through.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, this is Adnan. I don't see the participant. I don't see, there's an introduction screen, and for this dry run, maybe it's okay, but for the interpretation, when we're interpreting on Wednesday, it is very crucial that we can see.
So as I mentioned in the chat, when we will be in session, everybody will have their video off except for the speakers. That will be pinpointed. I don't know what's the proper the name, spotlighted.
Spotlight.
So you will only see the person that's speaking, and you will hear this person as well.
Which is fine. Which is what we want, to see the person who's speaking. So that's good. Thank you.
Tom, do you have any comment on how did it go? Could you monitor something? Were you monitoring something on your side?
Yeah, I was looking on our channels while you were speaking, and the interpretation was all coming through. Everything was working, the live stream's working on the site. So when people were testing, I was just making sure it all works. It worked fine.
Yes, that's excellent. That's very good news.
And just one comment, the pick a device box, it resets and you have to choose your microphone again after your turn. When you go back, it doesn't go automatically back to your default.
We were due to push this update just before this meeting, but we ran out of time, so we chose not to push it before we ran this test. And we'll hopefully be able to push it before the 7 p.m. test. Because we've changed a few of the interface on the attendee side of things as well. We just didn't want to break anything for this test.
Is there any chance we can have the link to see the video streamed on the platform, or is it not ready yet?
I sent the link to you privately. Obviously, you have to be registered as an attendee in the chat. So it's definitely working. I sent it to you, Heather, and Dirk as part of the team. If I share it with everyone, I don't know if you're able to see this potentially, but you should see that I'm currently speaking on the live stream with Laurent as a closed member test.
Okay, wonderful. I was wondering if Elaine, Karina, and Tessa could have a sense.
Elaine or Karina.
Wait, please. I was wondering if Elaine, Karina, and Tessa could have a sense of what it looks like from the audience perspective.
Have they signed up to the staging account? 'Cause if they
They will
haven't-
need to have a staging account for that, Laurent. So I think, can you share your screen? Can any, no, because we're all admins. Okay,
I can share my screen.
Okay, that's probably best. And for Karina, Tess, and Elaine, I think it's really important to know what's happening in the background during your session. And so I know it's a little bit rough, and for our interpreters, really glad that we're here, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows all the different teams that are happening. It's always good to meet each other. We're going to have lots of fun together. Back to Tom.
Just waiting for screen share ability.
Thank you, dear.
Just been enabled, I believe. There we go. Lovely. So when I'm speaking on here, you can see that it's now going to be inception of this. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here comes the inception. Effectively, try and ignore the picture in here. If I pause, is that going to prevent some of it? No. Effectively, this is the page that attendees would bond. You can see the session is currently live. We have a closing test. We have the embed of the YouTube. We have the speakers who would be part of it. The abstract and various things are at the bottom. I can hear Arabic coming in. So if Adnan, if you want to carry on speaking on Arabic, I'll gladly listen to you over Arabic.
You want me to speak to be the speaker, for example?
Yeah, you could be the speaker, and
I'll go on video. I will read something. The idea that Africa is destined to remain poor is very common, but often seems to be based on no more than a feeling. If you like your opinions to be based on facts, this is what you need to know. Yes, Africa is lagging behind other continents on average. The average lifespan of a newborn baby in Africa today is 65 years. That's a staggering 17 years less than the baby born today in Western Europe. Thank you.
Excuse me, I think the Zoom microphone needs to be muted, Adnan, right?
Yeah, the reason Tessa and everyone...
it is actually, Pablo, it is, my microphone was muted, but I think somebody else's microphone was not, so I was coming up as a voice in the background. Maybe Laurent's background, maybe Laurent's...
Hold on. I use headphones, so it's talking. You're listening to the sound through the video, Tom's video, no? I know it's muted.
Yeah, I was listening to the sound, but I could hear my voice back, which actually was
okay. Is anybody?
I just my microphone was not muted because I was going to ask a question. I apologize. So yes.
No, guys, sorry. It's because the reason this is happening, guys, is because you'll never be in this situation, right? You'll never be watching and interpreting at the same time, because you're going to get that microphone loop of listening to yourself, like Adnan says. It's because I'm part of the Zoom room, and because I'm part of the Zoom room, I have to listen to Laurent speaking, and I have to listen to Adnan through the Arabic selection. And therefore you're getting that loop back through.
Okay, so, very good. Just very, very quickly, Karina, I know you have to go. What's your question, please, my friend?
Thank you, Heather. Just a very quick question. When we have a poll and the answers popping up in the language of whoever is watching,
yes.
How does that work? Is it going to be seamless? The translators aren't going to be paying attention to the poll. They're going to be paying attention to what the moderator says when she reads out observations from the poll. Just want to ensure everyone's clear on that.
أنا أتأكد أن الجميع يعني واضح بالنسبة لهذا الأمر.
You're interpreting, Adnan, through Zoom.
You can stop interpreting now. Sorry, Adnan.
But just to clarify with that, guys, this Slido here, this is currently pulling in an EN for this one. If I was to change to Arabic, it would all go to Arabic, and it's then the moderators. Obviously, I would be viewing this in Arabic, and I would be engaging in Arabic. It would then be the moderator's job to vet and find the questions, for example, that are useful, and feedback to the technical host.
Okay, so then I'll be getting everything in English. Translators don't need to
exactly. Translators won't see this. Just for you to see, Tessa and Karina. The interpretation interface looks like this. They have a list of the sessions that they need to attend. It reminds them all to use the latest version of Chrome. And then when they go into a particular session, like the closing one, I can see that Pablo is currently live on Spanish and broadcasting for the closing test in Spanish. I can select my microphone, and there's a chat in here to say hi to Pablo, etc. So they don't actually see any of that. What you saw on this screen is the attendee view, where they select what their language they want to listen in, and this is the interpretation interface.
Perfect. So then I
do have a question. So when I click the button,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, you're breaking up there.
like once I push the button, it goes directly broadcast. There's no kind of warning. Is that correct? Is that?
And I'm sorry, we couldn't listen to you. Is this the connection you're going to have during the meeting?
No. Like
Okay,
right
good.
now, I am in Tunisia. I'm flying tomorrow.
All good, all good. Just checking.
Okay, yeah, the connection's pretty poor, but just to hopefully understand what you said and explain, effectively, when you click go live, this is instantaneous interpretation. So as soon as I click that go live, I am now broadcasting, and I've started the broadcast at 15:32 BST time. This will then be broadcasting over the ES channel to this page here, where if someone's watching on the Spanish version of this, it's all currently in the same language because it's just a test one. They would select the ES, and I'll hear myself looping back through when that starts playing. There's a delay on the video from YouTube, and there's a delay from me on Spanish on the audio stream. They would select the ES, and I'll hear myself looping. There you go. So you can hear myself coming in on the interpretation interface. I'm still broadcasting, and when I'm going to hand over to Pablo, I will disconnect, and Pablo will then go live, and he will begin broadcasting instantaneously.
Okay. We have 2 openings to do. So what I'm going to ask is that, bye Karina, thanks again. What I'm going to ask is that we do another round, if that's okay. We'll do, I think it's Elaine first, then Tessa. And again, same thing, Elaine, just walk through just the different steps, and that'll help the interpreters understand, and also for Pablo, just to get a sense of what's going on during the session. And then we'll switch to Elaine. I know we only have 30 minutes left, so I want to be honorable and know that if we need to schedule more, we will. Over to Laurent, please.
And I have a question, if I may.
Yes. Yeah, I was about to talk to you, Rodina, please.
Okay, so somebody's interpreting in Arabic, and then all of a sudden we need to switch to English. So in that time, is the team interpreter in another room? Because I click Arabic, I'm in the Arabic booth, but what if I want to switch because it's
So sorry, Rodina, there's not going to be, you're not going to be going back into English, you're going only into Arabic.
Arabic.
The panels will speak English only, the panelists, sorry.
There will be no questions in a different language?
The
questions will go through a chat, and they will be translated by our team and delivered in English.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and Rodina, you will do some bidirectional interpretation on the Zoom only sessions, and you're attending that session too. That's different. We don't use the platform for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to confirm then, basically this interface that you're looking at now is only for one directional interpretation, always from English, going to either French, Spanish, or Arabic. There are 3 sessions where you'll be closed and in a Zoom room, and there will be bilateral interpretation, but that will all be done via the Zoom interpretation interface and not via this one.
Wonderful, wonderful. So if I could be so bold, unless there's any other questions, I know we're going to be doing tests about those other ones. May I ask Elaine to walk us through the opening?
Sure.
And just
thanks, Heather.
Everybody. I know I'm a little bit ruthless with timing, but I know that this is what it's going to be like on the day of. So warmly, you're not going to be hearing my voice, but over to Elaine.
Thanks, Heather. Okay, so we have sort of a 3-part opening. So I'll start with when the room opens for testing at 1100, and then panelists arrive, and then we have at 1200 the keynote statement from Francesco, then followed by a 1220 introductory remarks by the Prince of Wales, which will be a video. 12:30, the session officially starts, and our moderator, Lori, will officially open with some intro statement, and then a Slido poll, which will ask which city the participants are joining us from. And here we want to, so I understand the Slido poll will show on the side, right? The other maybe the other question, when we don't have to discuss now, maybe we can discuss separately, is how we can present the results. And Lori will be mentioning a sort of a consolidated results of all the 4 languages. And then that would be followed by setting the scene by the moderator, and then introduction of the panelists. And then she will turn to the first speaker, which will have a recorded message. And then we'll launch the video of that. That's the Bangladesh Prime Minister. And at 12:45, that will be followed by the live panel discussion. So Lori turns to the other 4 panelists and asks each of them a set of questions. So the order would be, first we'll have the minister from Bangladesh. Lori asks the question, and then he would answer. Then another question for the minister from Grenada, and then he would answer. Then a question for Mary Robinson. She would answer. Emilot's question. She would answer. Then Francesco Rocca. And then at about 13:15, we will open the questions, or we'll get the questions from the audience. So at the back end, we'll be filtering the questions and selecting and feeding that to the moderator. Towards the end of that, we'll have another Slido question. This is new, Heather, sorry, we weren't able to discuss this in the earlier run through, but this Slido question would be hopefully another word cloud, where we will ask what the key takeaways are from the discussion. And we were wondering if we can show actually the answers as they come in. Again, this is for, I guess, further discussion. After that, 13:40, the moderator will ask sort of final statements from the panel, and then draw us to a close. And then 13:50, we end the session. Over.
Thank you. Thanks very much. And Elaine, yes, we need to schedule another walkthrough just with moderation for tomorrow for you. And Hamad is the person who we will be doing that with, because he's going to help with Slido. Okay, that's a future problem. Back to
Okay,
Laurent
thanks.
and Tom. Back to Laurent and Tom before we go to the second opening, which Tessa is going to walk us through.
So I was going to say, is everyone, all the interpreters currently interpreting on the opening page or not?
Okay, I wasn't interpreting, but I don't know if everybody switched. We had to go back to the interpretation page and then go into the right session.
Yes, so if you go back to the interpretation page and then go on to the opening session. So opening test, and then go into your various rooms on opening test. And then when we run through the next talk, as we're running through that, if you interpret while the speech is being given, I will test that everything's working on this end.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Brilliant.
This
Thank
is
you, guys.
I'm sorry, Laurent. Oh, sorry, Bertrand here, French booth. Just asking, we're switching to a different session now or not?
Yes, please. You are now moving to the opening.
Yes, and Bertrand, I think you're not in the opening session. You're not the first shift. So I think we can let you leave for now.
Okay, because I was just, on FaceTime with Jessica and Michelle. I'll be just very quick. We were wondering if it would be possible, unless it's been done already, for someone to just listen to one of us translating anything that is said in English into French in staging, and saying, yes, we hear the French interpretation fine. And if that's the case, and what we would like to do actually is to do maybe 30 seconds, Jessica would translate, then Michelle 30 seconds, then me 30 seconds,
yes.
And
right.
So for like less than 2 minutes, you can, test the 3 French interpreters, make sure you can hear them on staging, in the French booth, either in the closing or in the opening session. It doesn't matter to us. And once we're done with that, we can go, and come back at 1 p.m. Central for the completely different, dry run,
yes,
using the team sections. Basically, and all the only other thing I wanted to mention is that for us, the rundown, basically, if we could have like a document, a Word document with everything that's been said, sent to us, we'll look at that, that's for later for us, the primary concern for us is to make sure we're heard on staging. And as long as we're heard in the French booth, all three interpreters, one at a time.
Right, Bertrand, I think they sorry to interrupt, but I think they've been monitoring that, Tom and
Yes, we have.
Bertrand, right? Yeah, they've been as long as you're in the right booth and you're interpreting, they will hear you if you go live.
But we haven't interpreted. Did we, Jessica? Michelle, did you interpret?
So for the next little test then, Bertrand, do you want to test that, and I'll listen specifically French and make sure everything's working okay for you?
Exactly, that'd be fantastic.
Do you want more testers, Tom? Do you want like Dirk or George or Ian to go there?
It's okay. I've got Rob on a different channel. I'm on this channel.
Love it.
And Laurent
Love it.
Clicking between different channels as well, so we can. I'm hearing across multiple channels. Everyone's broadcasting, no problem.
Great.
And we're staying in the closing session, or we're moving to the opening session now?
We're doing opening session number 2, which is Tessa. And I'm really glad that you brought that up, Bertrand, because the most important thing we need to do is that you know about switching, that you're comfortable, and that you could hear just a little bit more about the event. And that was our point. So we're just doing multiple tests at the same time. So Tessa, can you walk us through the movement one again? The same thing like Elena and Karina did, okay?
Certainly. Okay. So the movement scene setting panel will start with at 2 o'clock, and I see already in the production schedule there's
2 o'clock for testing. That's correct. Yes.
For testing, no, I think it should open before for testing because the session starts at 2 with Jagan's remarks, and then the panel starts at 2:15. Is that clear, Heather?
Yeah, there was just a typo. I'm fixing it. Yeah. Go ahead, Tessa. Go ahead.
Okay, good. So at 2 o'clock, the session will open with Martin Valnalst, who is the facilitator of the session. He will introduce Jagan, the Secretary General of the IFRC, and a very brief introduction, and hand to Jagan, the Secretary General, to deliver his opening address. That will last approximately 12 minutes. And then, if easier, we can provide you with the copy of the speech beforehand. After Jagan delivers his opening address, he will then hand back to Martin, who is the facilitator. Martin will then provide some initial framing remarks, and he will like to show, or intends to show, one slide, a PowerPoint slide. That slide is just a
diapositiva en PowerPoint, y vamos a cambiar la diapositiva.
You need to mute yourself in Zoom, Diana.
So that first PowerPoint is just a painting. Then Martin will hand to ask the first speaker, Asha Mohammed, a question. She will respond to that question for approximately 3 to 4 minutes. She will then hand back to Martin, who will reflect on her statement and then ask a question of Judy Slatyer. Judy Slatyer will then respond for 3 to 4 minutes. Martin will then react to her comments and then ask Robert Mardini a question. And that Robert Mardini will respond for 3 to 4 minutes, and then Martin again will react and then ask Jagan Chapagan a question. Jagan Chapagan will then respond for 3 to 4 minutes, and then Martin will summarize what he's heard so far. He will then also reflect on some of the inputs or comments that have come from the Slido chat feed, in which I will give him some key points. And then he will ask a second round of questions that will be based on 2 PowerPoint slides. The PowerPoint slides are of a publication, and that publication will the cover of that publication appears in the 4 languages. Then Martin asks a second round of questions to the panelists for a similar amount of time to each of the panelists. Then he will reflect on the responses that he's received and the Slido chat based on the information that I give him. and then close the session. So there will be no other sort of polls or anything like that. It will simply be Martin asking the panelists questions and then reflecting on anything that has come through the chat function. Is that clear?
I'm sorry, this is Anand, Tom. I think we have a little technical issue because I think my colleague Emna is on and she's been trying to signal Rodina. I don't know if Rodina is still here. On the chat box, Emna has been asking for Rodina to take over, but I don't know if Rodina is on with us.
I can't see on the.
I am in the right room. Am I not in the right room? I'm in the second one, the opening test. Did we move to another one?
You are. Oh, okay. So Rodina, hi. Could you see in the chat box, because that's the only communication that we have in the chat box, we're trying to practice the takeover. In the chat box.
So, and then saying we go by alpha order every 2 minutes.
Okay, yeah. So if you could. Yeah, so if we could just make sure that we have the chat box open so we can all, because I think Emna's trying to ask for a takeover.
Emna also had on our logs, it looked like Emna had 2 tabs or browsers of the interpretation interface open at one time. Can you ensure that you only have one of the interpretation because it was fighting for your microphone between the 2 browsers or the 2 tabs?
Actually, I only have one. Let me check. I'm working on any such thing on my Safari and I don't see that. However,
so you're using Safari there, Emna?
No, I'm using Chrome. I'm using Chrome, but I was checking anything Safari, my default browser, and I had to press that link, but no, there's nothing on Safari. I only have one window open on Chrome, and it is the staging. I connect previously, not on staging. That might be the matter, but right now the only window I see is the interpreting session, Climate Red, and the URL reads staging.climatered/interpret/climate red.
Right, okay. I'm just getting through the logs. I'm just seeing that it says you tried to broadcast in Arabic apparently, and it didn't appear to be working. It could be your connection, because your connection seems quite weak at the moment. But also, I'd like you to just quickly do a test and try and work this out for me, and just quickly drive a broadcast on Arabic. I also want you to do go to whatsmybrowser.com and just paste this in a second. I'm just going to paste that domain, and it didn't work. Bear with me one second.
Okay, no, it did work. It did work.
Brilliant.
So I'm gonna do this. So paste this into Chrome. Is it?
Can you send the link where it says your browser's unique URL? Copy that link where it says just underneath there. It says copy to URL to clipboard, and then paste that link back in the chat for us, if that's okay.
Okay, so just very quickly, sorry.
I don't need to understand what you're asking me to do, Tom.
Please,
I'm gonna copy whatever.
Please, and wait one moment, because we have to organize something, and we will get back to you. Okay? So sorry.
Okay.
So for Tess and Elaine, we have done a walkthrough for you for tomorrow. You know, I'm available from whatever we can talk about this. Just talk to me in Slack. We should do another walkthrough because you have a lot of tech questions, and I'm trying to organize that with Espen in terms of moderation. Okay. And so we'll come back to me, but if you would like to stay, I know you're more than welcome to listen to us test. And again, for our interpreters, I'm really appreciating this is very difficult, and I'm very glad that you're here. I just wanted to have the 2 teams meet each other a little bit and get a chance to understand that there's different moving parts over. Okay. And so for Pablo's question about content, I'll work with Laurent on that. Okay.
Thank you so much, Heather, and thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, really, really appreciative of all the effort going into this. It's going to be great. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll meet again at 1 or 2.
Yeah, different teams.
Everybody.
Different teams.
Okay, so please, everybody else, back to Laurent and to Tom for testing. And just to say, Laurent, I don't think you need me here right now, so I'm going to hop off. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, and the interpreters leave for now, correct?
Okay.
Yes, all barring
No, no.
Emma. We just want to try and work out what's wrong.
Interpreters should stay, maybe, I think, right?
If you want-
I don't know, Lauren, do you want us to
Wait.
stay?
If you want to, we will do something. I think it's easier because we have a lot of people talking here. Let's raise the hand or something because it's hard a little bit for the conversation, for everybody's clarity. And if you want to stay, you can stay. We can do some tests. If you don't want to, or if you don't want to, you can't. You're free to leave. You're free to go. Basically, we're not retaining you here.
Thank you. So just take over from Laurent then, and I can't see any raised hands, so I'll just continue. Emna, if you go to that website I sent in the chat, the whatismybrowser.com, server IP address could not be found. Did you try this one? Just click on that link there.
That
Did that work or not?
that works.
That site works or not? Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, you're on a pretty poor connection, Emna, so I'm going to try and work with what we've got. There should be a link underneath where it says your web browser's unique URL, and it should say something like copy.
See where that would be.
Okay, if that
I
one
have
doesn't-
the IP address, the local IP address, the internet service provider, internet speed, computer screen, browser.
Here you go. I'm going to send you a new one. Try this one instead. This is .org, and then there should be a big copy at the top.
Okay.
It's the same thing. It's just a different different site that does the same job. So if you click the big copy button at the top, Emna, and then paste that link back in the chat, that'd be awesome.
Okay, doing it right
Thank you.
now.
And then I'll let Laurent see if anyone would like.
Yes. Yes. So I'm going to copy that and send it to you.
Thank you.
Very well.
We're just going to go look into that very quickly to see if it's something to do with your browser or whether it's the connection. And we'll be back in a second.
Okay.
So I'll just wait for you to paste that into. Oh, there it is. Brilliant. Thank you. Back in a sec. Laurent, take over, please.
Sorry, I was watching, reading my message from an interpreter. Yeah. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I lost a little bit the conversation. Sorry.
I'm just debugging the problems that Emna's had using the browser link.
Okay.
So into this. So if anyone wants to do a test over their interpretation, now is the time, and Laurent will run something where he speaks and you can interpret using that.
Yes, I can do that. And to answer the question that I've been asked through the WhatsApp group, through WhatsApp by Jessica, we will be running a full Zoom test in about an hour. Okay, it's another Zoom link. I'm happy to share it on WhatsApp if you don't have the right one. That's my bad. So I will share it through WhatsApp to the people that are will be working during these sessions during the live event. Okay, so I can start talking now. I will put my video, and if you are in your booth, you can start interpreting in a while. I will be reading something. So I start in 3, 2, 1. In the last 60 years, the African countries south of the Sahara almost all went from being colonies to being independent states. Over that time, these countries expanded their education, electricity, water, and sanitation infrastructures. Please, Emma, can you mute your mic? At the same time, at the same speed as that achieved by the countries of Europe when they went through their own miracles. And each of the 50 countries south of the Sahara reduced its child mortality faster than Sweden ever did. How can that not be counted as incredible progress? Perhaps because though things are much better, they are still bad. If you look for poor people in Africa, of course you will find them. But there was extreme poverty in Sweden 90 years ago, too. And when I was young, just 50 years ago, China, India, and South Korea were all way behind where sub-Saharan Africa is today in most ways. And Asia's destiny was supposed then to be exactly what Africa's destiny is supposed to be now. Quote unquote, they will never be able to feed 4 billion people. Thank you.
Thanks, Laurent.
Over now.
Brilliant. I was just checking. So we had Arabic interpreting then, and we didn't have French or Spanish going live. Is that the case? Just to double check. I think that's the case because I went into each of the different rooms and it didn't look like Spanish or French were broadcasting. So that's fine. So Emna, we can't find anything on our end, I don't think just yet. Rob's looking into this as we speak. Rob's the developer who built the platform. It did seem like it looked like it was coming from 2 tabs, whether that was an issue with your internet connection and it was dropping out and reconnecting and attempting to do it twice. We should be able to fix obviously once you're on a more reliable connection. But I think the second time there, were you broadcasting again on Arabic? Because I could hear Adnan broadcasting absolutely fine there. And I heard a changeover as well. So I think that seemed to work. Any problems? Any questions on that? And if not, we can come back and do the full test this evening at 7 UK time, or 1 p.m. yours, I think it is.
I am actually in Tunisia today, but we'll be flying tomorrow.
Okay.
So if there's anything that needs to be tested today,
I mean, would you be able to potentially come back at the 7 p.m. test and try on a different internet connection? Are you currently wired, or are you on Wi-Fi or 3G?
Wi-Fi.
You're on Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I have in the US. It's much faster.
And the only error we've seen is on yours, and obviously we can see from this call it's particularly poor line for the connection. I think that's not just me, but it's getting the stuttering coming in as well. So if you're around for that call and you're able to test on a different channel, that would be great. But I didn't catch the full sentence there from you.
I would be first name, is that what it is?
Emna, can you write in the chat?
Yes, sure. Let me.
Sorry.
That's, I understand. Yes.
Brilliant. And catch you later, Adnan. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you at 1 o'clock.
Thank you, everyone. I'll be there a few minutes before.
Amazing.
Thank you, Nan. Yeah, I know that not everybody's going to work in the sessions that we will be testing at 1 o'clock, but you're welcome, of course. I guess you have the link. If you don't have it,
yeah, I have the link. I'm working the opening and the closing session, so I have the link. So,
but the next sessions, the next test session at 1 p.m. is not concerning. It's not regarding the opening or closing sessions. It's on other sessions.
Okay, so I mean, I received an invitation to take part in it.
Yeah,
so I
please
guess
come.
I might as
Please
well.
come. Please come.
All right,
No
okay.
problem.
All right, thank you. I'll see you later. Bye.
Ciao, thank you.
Bye. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
So Rodina, I heard, I saw on WhatsApp that you wrote to me that you had a question. If you want to ask it here, feel free.
Okay, and please excuse my confusion. So I am watching everybody live on my laptop. I can see the speakers' faces. It works out. I have the interpreter booth on my iPhone, and I see the button for takeover, and I can chat with my coworkers regarding all that. Now, when Adnan was interpreting, I couldn't hear him. What if I want to hear my coworker interpreting, so I can catch from where they left off or whatnot?
Yeah, that's something we addressed yesterday. Sorry, Rodina, you weren't here. We couldn't remind this today. Take over, Tom. Sorry, you were about to say something.
No, that's fine. Basically, what we were saying is this has all been built from scratch, and unfortunately, we haven't got that ability on this particular version to listen into your colleague in time for this conference because we've been working to tight deadlines. What the procedure that Pablo and Diana have been addressing is that you engage through the chat, and what happens is on that takeover, rather than just taking over from your colleague, you wait and see for your partner to mute, and then you take over the mic. The interpretation goes live instantaneously, so there shouldn't be a delay in that in terms of them pausing, stopping their mic and then restarting. But that's the way that Pablo and Diana have been specifying to all the interpreters, is that they have an open communication with their partner in the room. They work however they're comfortable. They either use FaceTime or WhatsApp as a channel to communicate the takeover. And then when they choose to go live, they then pause and the next person then goes live, or disconnect and then they go live effectively. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's a matter of communicating, and then once they mute, then I get so I will not hear them, but exactly. I will take from where they leave off, like starting
exactly because them disconnecting is literally instantaneous on the interface. You'll be able to see straight away once they've communicated and said, can you take over in 5 minutes, or whether you specified at the start that you do half an hour. They can ping in the chat, can you take over? You'll say, yes, I'll take over, watch my mic. You watch the disconnect and then you go live. Pardon, Emna?
I will write it down.
Sorry, Emna, the connection's awful, unfortunately. We can't hear anything you're saying. I think this is...
She said she would write it.
Sorry, guys. Can I just ask a question quickly?
Yeah, sure, Hamid.
Is there any need for me to be here? Will there be any actual Slido hands-on testing? That's what I was...
That will be happening at 7 p.m. this evening. So we'll be doing a run through of a closing or opening session, I believe, Laurent, and we'll be doing a full hour interpretation sort of test as best we can.
But we won't be running a Slido stuff because it's through Zoom at 7 p.m. London is 8 p.m. Geneva. No, Hamid, I'm sorry. I mean,
because I thought that we will be doing some tests here, and I asked Heather, and she said, yeah, we will need you for this session. I thought we were going to do actual testing.
So we've done 2 tests where we checked the audio and the microphones between the interpreters already, and we've done the testing for those 2 channels. But as far as the Slido goes, because the moderator is going to be feeding that back, we're not going to be doing specific testing on the Slido.
There was a miscommunication here. I think the information that Heather sent you, Hamid, so sorry, but it wasn't accurate.
Yeah, because as you might understand, I'm more interested in actually to test what I'm going to work on, because I've been more like attending meetings and more like plannings. I wanted to hands-on do some things and just see where am I supposed to go, what is going to happen. I feel like I unfortunately I don't know what to do exactly. I've been working, I've been doing some own testing with Slido, but I don't know exactly where to go and what to do. That's where I feel I'm kind of stuck.
Just for the interpreters that are here, Slido is an interface that we're using for the chat, for the audience to interact with the panel indirectly through the climate.red website. Well, yeah, can you get to talk to Heather, Hamid? I'm sorry that we can't answer you.
Yeah. I think if you don't have any actual Slido testing going on here, maybe I should disconnect and I was able to get contact with Espen. I'm going to give him a call if he knows anything.
Great, that sounds perfect. Thanks for that. So really sorry, Hamid, about that.
No problem. No problem. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think on that note, we found a bug, particularly with and concurrent sessions happening. Rob's looking into this. So I think for now we could probably wrap this meeting up, and then anyone who wants to contest.
Before we wrap up, I'm trying to go live, but my microphone doesn't pick up. It asked me if I want to pick up my, like, is it because we're not live now? Just one last thing, I apologize. I don't mean to keep everybody.
Don't worry.
Live out of a test. I am on Zoom. I hear everybody just fine. I have the Climate Red website open. I'm in the booth. Let's say the closing one or the opening test.
So if you go to Arab, are you in Arabic?
Yes, I go live. It says error opening your microphone undefined is not an option. It gives me an error message.
Can you read that? Can you type that error message out into the chat for me? And on what platform are you using? So what browser are you using on there? Safari. That's so you should be using Chrome. The interface only supports Chrome. So if you go back to interpretation, on the top of that blue page where it shows you all of the slots, in bright yellow on there, it says, please remember to use the latest version of Chrome. In order to use the interpretation, we require you to use Chrome. Okay. So it won't work on Safari.
I don't see that. So, okay, I'm going to download Chrome from the App Store because I don't have it, honestly.
Rodina, just something. I don't think you can find Chrome in the App Store. You have to go to the Google website. That's one thing, just to pick on what you were saying. And I think, I shared with Pablo and Diana a link to kind of a user guide. It's an evolving document because I try to adapt it to your concerns. But I'm pasting the link on the chat right now, and you can have a look there. It talks about the requirements. It talks about how to register, log in, use the interface, etc. Right?
Okay, so which chat?
The Zoom chat.
The Zoom test. Let me look in the chat. Okay, I see it. So from Laurel Fernandez, that link.
Please follow the link. Have a look at the document.
Red, yes.
And any question, you can. I will add you. Maybe I've already added you to a WhatsApp group, but you can write to me on WhatsApp.
Actually, I think it's informative enough. The only thing is I'm downloading Chrome as we speak. I already started the download and then the installation.
Brilliant. Are you working off a laptop, or are you working off a tablet or mobile?
A laptop.
A laptop, brilliant.
So I have the instructions. I got them. I'm gonna read through them just to be more informed. I get the idea in general, and I just want to make sure there's no error messages with my mic. So that's a technical issue.
Yeah, so the error message you're getting is because you were using Safari. So once Chrome's installed, if you go to the same link, you'll have to log in again because you're in a different browser now. So it will require you to get a different session token. So you basically go to log in, type in your email again, and you'll get an email come through to your email address. Click on that link and open it with Chrome. If that makes sense.
Yes, it's just
wait for that to happen.
Let's just give it a second for Chrome. It's still installing.
No worries. It's basically we think that because you tried interpreting with Safari, the issues that they were getting with the handover in the Arabic room could have potentially been caused by that. But it looks like that because Safari isn't supported as the interpretation interface, it thinks you're connected, but it also potentially thinks that you're still interpreting even if you aren't. And this is why we specify to all of the interpreters that they must use Chrome, not Safari, not Firefox. That way that we know that all the interpreters are on the same platform using the latest version. And if they have any problems, we can troubleshoot and address these quickly because, as you can imagine, there are lots of varieties of browser out there and even more variations on the version of that browser. So we've asked every interpreter that's taking part in Climate Red 2 requirements. They must use a wired microphone and they must use the latest version of Chrome. And that should be in your pack from Pablo and Diana and Lucy. And if you have any questions on that, by all means, just contact them and they'll be able to share any documents with you for that. But if you do want to test that on Chrome, please do stay on the line.
Yeah, I'm trying to, but it's just taking time. It's giving me Google Chrome. It gives me like this icon. It's taking its time, perhaps.
Yeah, the install can be a little bit long, but it should work. Is Dirk still on?
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, is Dirk still on the line?
Is Dirk still? I believe he's still there.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm. You know what I'm doing, but yes, I'm here.
Brilliant.
Listening. Good.
So yeah, I guess let us know when that's done, Radina. I mean, are you available to come back in an hour's time at the 7 o'clock session or the 1 o'clock Central Eastern? Sorry, CST.
I was hoping to step out for the rest of the day, but I want to make sure everything is on point. That's work is work. It's okay. It's just giving me a second with the Chrome. I don't know why it's come on, Chrome.
It's taking time.
I mean, it downloaded it and it opened it, but then it's not. It just gives me a blank screen. So it's Google Chrome and it shows the Apple. I don't know why you're not installing it. Let me try again to install it again.
Have you dragged it across to your application? So you know when that little window pop-up opens, you have to drag the little Chrome icon across to your application.
Oh, okay. I think that's what it's trying to tell me to do. All right. That's
there you go. So if you click on that icon and drag it across to the applications, then it'll start the install.
Just did it. Yep, working.
And then Chrome should open, I believe, if you double click on Chrome now.
Yes, 10 seconds. It says in about 10 seconds.
There you go. This is all off memory.
Okay.
And obviously then staging.climate.red will take you to the site, and then you'll need to do your login again. And then let us know when you get to that point. You still there, Adina? You're on mute.
Yes, I'm right here. It's just I'm opening the link for the Climate Red.
Yep. So staging.climate.red. That should take you to the website, and then obviously do your login where you get your email again. And the email should come from support@ClimateRed.
Send me the code. Okay, so I can test the mic now?
Yeah, so if you go to interpreter mode and go back to the Arabic room, when you click live, the first thing you'll need to do is you'll need to give Chrome the permission to use your microphone. So it'll give you a little pop-up that says, do you allow Chrome to use your microphone, for example? You need to allow that.
Test, اختبار عربي.
And I'm now going to go to the Arabic channel and just test.
Test.
You just gotta mute your mic on Zoom.
Sure.
And are you broadcasting to the closing or the opening? Just to clarify. I guess I'll hear when I open it up.
The first one, it would be the opening. I'm gonna mute again.
Brilliant, thank you.
Was it audible? I was just.
I can't hear anything yet. I'm waiting.
Okay, try again.
Just keep talking on the first one, so you're in the closing. Bear with me. Right. Bear with me.
Yes, بالفعل نحن على الهواء اختبار الترجمة العربية هناك اختبار.
Yep, I can hear you on Arabic. I can hear you on Arabic absolutely fine. The microphone's a little bit quiet, so I would say if you've got the volume on your microphone, you might want to increase it, but it's clear and I can hear that.
Okay, excellent. I don't have my wired in mic. I have to wire it in, but I do have one, and I'm going to use that. So perhaps that's the.
That's probably it. Yeah, that's probably it. But basically, yeah, that works now. That's absolutely fine. So just ensure you're using Chrome, and you'll have no problems. So if I jump into the interpretation module on the first one, I can see you're in there, and you're still currently broadcasting over there. So you can see the chat should now all work. And I'll be able to take over from you. And now I'm broadcasting, and you'll see that I'm broadcasting now.
Man, this is crazy.
It works out good. So I get it. I finally got it. We're good. Do I need to attend another session?
Only if you're uncomfortable using it.
No, I got it. I feel good now. I feel good. So I got it. I think Chrome solved the issue. And I'm glad because I missed out the part where you mentioned the Chrome. So I'm glad I was trying to test the mic and I got the error message. No, we good. I got it. I think I'm good with it.
Perfect. Brilliant. On that note, I think we can probably wrap up this meeting then, Laurent.
I agree.
Brilliant.
This stuff, this noise inception stuff is crazy.
Yeah, I know, on the live stream, right? When I jump to the live stream, it just keeps going in.
Whoa.
Well, I'm stopping the